So welcome back, we're up at 20,900 feet, so just approaching our cruise altitude. The altitude buzzer would go off just about now, there we go. And as you can see we have the lakes down there, so getting close, well reasonably close to the Scottish border, so we're flying on up there. So what I'll do is when we reach our cruise altitude I'll just show you how I set up my plane. Well, this Dash Q400 for the cruise settings. When I was using PFPX, I used the intermediate cruise. Now, in this tutorial that I've linked below, there is a performance manual for cruise settings according to current weight and temperature conditions and altitude cruise levels as well. So because we're at flight level 220, we'll be using those settings, so I'll discuss those in a second, but first of all I'm just going to stabilise the aircraft because we're just getting to the cruise altitude now. So as you can see the speed, let me just put this approach control frequency in first. So we'll just bring this throttle back a little bit. We can bring back the cruise to 850, just so it's a bit quieter for our passengers. And we're already being given clearance. That was quick. So his flight basically was straight up, about 1 minute of cruise, and straight back down again. I'll do the approach information in a second. But what I was going to say was we don't need to set it up really now because we're about to descend. But for 220, the recommended cruise level, cruise speed is 231 knots at 51% torque. So we're almost there actually. So we'll just bring it back to 51 whilst I just set up the approach. So flight plan, menu, arrival, and we're doing ILS 24, so that's number 3. The star was EDN 2A, which is number 2. And then the approach is the ILS number 1. Could enter a transition, but I've had problems with the transition before because it routes you straight onto the glide path rather than kind of in a more looping pattern. So we'll ignore that for the moment. So we can get rid of this one. In fact, it might actually do it anyway because EDN is on there. EDN is, as you'll see, I might have to delete it, but it's on the localizer path, so it doesn't really make sense to go there. But we'll see how it is when we get a bit closer. I'll also quickly show you the VNAV function on this plane. Actually, let me just go back and find a good point to descend to. So use CI24. We'll use CI24. Just number 10. It's already got the information, so we need to be at 3,000 or above at that point. We'll use 3,000, and let's press enter. This function here is in case you want to get to 3,000 at a set distance before the waypoint, so 10 nautical miles or 5 nautical miles before. But we'll get to 3,000 exactly there, and we use 2,000. Let's get down there quickly. And there we go. So that's all programmed. So we've got 9 minutes. We'll start our descent. Approach control will probably clear us before then, but we'll ignore that and we'll do a manual descent. And it's just giving us a warning that VNAV is disconnected. Now, supposedly, if you've seen my streams, you'll have heard me explain this. But basically, what it says in the tutorial is that there's a bit of a bug with the VNAV function. From what I can gather, it's actually in the actual aircraft as well, but certainly in this model, that you can't turn on VNAV, which is this button here, until we get the VNAV warning that pops up on this FMC. So we just have to leave that until then. So we can now close this. We can just enjoy the view. So there they are, all the lakes. I think this is Windermere here, looping all the way up. Actually, no, that's not Windermere, because that's the river. Windermere is probably just hidden just here, probably. I know it's down there somewhere, down the southeast of the lakes. I'm sure someone will correct me if I'm wrong. My geography skills aren't the best. I believe that would be the M6 going below us. So it goes all the way up there, up through Shap. Some very nasty weather ahead from what the weather radar is telling me. So it might get a bit bumpy leading up to the top of the descent. It's a bit muddled there, but the little ring is the top of the descent marker. So we'll sort out and configure our VNav, and we'll change the altitude when we get close to that. And then we'll set up the ILS approach as well whilst we're descending. So there we go, we've been cleared down to descend, as we must just be going over Carlisle at the moment. Put the Carlisle down there, and the M6 is going straight past it, so I'd assume that is what it is. I'm not quite sure what this firth or this estuary is, but if someone can tell me, that would be great, just for general interest. So we'll just bring the altitude down to... well, we'll bring it right down to 3,000, and if well, actually no, we'll go with what ATC says, so 20,000 for the moment. So we've got 2 minutes till VPath, so we can. I think the warning just popped up, so we'll put VNav on. We were given 27 right on our first contact with Lapsy, but we'll plug in 27 left. Bye-bye. 27 left, I'll just check on that shit. BE847, descend to flight level 150. So 150. Bring that right back down. I think there is a setting in Pro-ATC for a manual descent, but I just haven't got around to setting that yet. It's mostly for other planes where I don't need it turned off. So 2.4, 2.3 should intercept that VPath fairly soon. The top of descent is imminent. There we go, there's the VPath. So let's bring this speed right back. Sorry, this throttle right back. Almost to flight idle. So there's our altimeter for once we cross. Well, I don't know what the transition is, but we'll use 18,000. Bit of a traffic warning. Don't see anything. Might just be intermittent. Oh no, there he is. It's down there somewhere. 2 o'clock-ish. So it's going to cross right in front of us. Traffic. Let's bring that back down to the altitude to back down to 3,500. As well, we'll just bring it to 3,000. There we go. That's the right setting. So bring back our speed even more because we're still increasing. On flight idle. There we go. We're starting to descend, decrease a little bit. Right, so let's enter the ILS information. So the ILS frequency is... let's have a look. So the ILS frequency is 108.9. That's what I thought it was, but just wanted to double check. And then in order to change the course, what you do is you find the format button, which is, I'll just zoom in so you can see it, is just here. You hold it down until this blue ILS pops up. And there's the ILS and there's the course. So it's 244 at, just got to go the other way. 244 for the runway 24 at Edinburgh is the course. So that's all set up, and then you just hold the format button down again and it disappears. We use a flap setting of 15 degrees because I think Edinburgh's runway is over 7,000 feet. And we'll do the descent checklist. We'll do it now actually. So 1022 is the... just do it a bit slow just because we'll dip down otherwise to get onto the VNAV path. 1022. Fuel balance, we'll just quickly do that because of the APU, they'll be slightly off balance, so that's about right. And then well, pressurisation we've just done, well actually no pressurisation, we've set at the start, so that's fine. Cabin passenger announcements we'll do now with the fasten seatbelt sign. And the approach briefing, well, I'm happy. And then we'll do the next set of checklists, which is the in-range checklist at 10,000 feet. Oh, I thought there was a default passenger announcement when you turn the fasten seatbelt signs on. But perhaps not. Right, let's just do the speeds as well. Okay, so for a flat 15, well, we need to find out what our weight is first. Yeah, it's performance, sorry. So our weight will be 52,909 pounds-ish. So we use 53,000, could just be conservative. So flat 15, our V approach will be 117. But I suspect it'll be icing conditions in Edinburgh, so we'll make that 137. VREF. Well, our VGA, sorry, is 127. Oh dear. One, 2, 7. We've just crossed 10,000, so we can go through the in-range checklist. So we're using 15 degrees of flap, so we can change the GPWS there. Fuel transfer we've switched off. Hydraulic pressure and caution warning lights we can test. We won't do that. External lights. Let's pop the landing lights on. So this is what I mean about the Edinburgh. Oh, we'll just stick with it and we'll go out. I think that technically on the approach that is what you're supposed to do. So we go to Edinburgh, we go out, and then we come round and go back onto the ILS. We'll probably get vectored in a minute anyway. Just bring that speed down. Ooh, that's a bit too much. I think that's the warning if you go below the flight idle.